we wish you never gotten sick, but thanks to the sickness, it was a wake-up call for all of us, and made the importance of relationship, the importance of health, the importance of really being there for each other, and the importance of the nuclear family and the relationship to each other made it so much clearer again.
Yeah.
I was like this. I was like, oh my God, what happens now in this thing? And now we have to send another $150,000 over there because of this, and this is an expense we didn't forecast, and Michelle's like, hey, after we're through this, at least we know how to do a full repositioning, so we can add an asset class to this. And I just looked at her and I just had to start laughing because it's a beautiful way of looking at it.
Get ready for the next iteration of you on your path to becoming wealthy. On this show, you'll get the insider's view on wealth creation, the class none of us got taught in school, with my co-host, daughter, and beginning investor, Sophia Bosch. And now, let's get started.
Welcome to Becoming Wealthy podcast. I'm your host, Sophia Bosch, and I'm here with my co-host,
Michelle Bosch.
And today we have a very special guest, my dad.
All right. Hello. Thanks for having me.
Welcome, Jack. I'm so excited that we get to have our very first family podcast here.
I'm super excited.
Family episode, I should say.
I'm super excited, and I'm so excited about your Becoming Wealthy podcast. It's so awesome to see you doing this together, and I'm watching the episodes, and I see how it's gaining reach, and so it's so beautiful.
Thank you so much for supporting us. So today's episode is about lessons learned from the family Bosch in 2023. And we wanted to basically talk about what we learned in three categories of our lives. And number one, when it comes to family. Number two, when it comes to relationships. And number three, when it comes to finances. And so which of those should we get started with? What do you guys think?
Maybe family.
Okay,
we're here together.
All right, family, yes. So what have we learned in 2023? Because this is being broadcast at the end of 2023. We're recording it at the end of 2023. Well, family is most important, particularly because I think it becomes very, very clear particularly when going through some harder times with family, particularly with health.
Yeah, Q1 and Q2 of this year meant incredible medical challenges for me. And we had to basically, as a family, really rally together and at the same time spend quite a bit of time away from each other. You know, I was 6.5 weeks in Germany getting medical treatment. Sophia, you were here on your own, holding basically the fort and going to school, figuring out which classes you wanted to take, in your sophomore year.
How was that?
Oh, that was a little bit stressful, just because I feel like you guys, I asked you for a lot of, your opinions on things. Not exactly for permission, but, I know you will support me with whatever I truly want to do, especially when it comes to classes I want to take in school. But not
because we know you're not going to default to the easiest classes anyway. You're gonna go. You're a responsible young lady, and you're already.
I might default to one class, but that's fine.
That's fine. But you wanna reach great things in life, so you were gonna pick good ones. So we weren't really worried about that.
But it was hard to also get a hold of you. We could only speak. Sometimes we didn't talk for a couple days at a time because of the time difference, things like that.
Yeah.
So.
And I remember getting a text from you when you were saying, wow, I didn't realize how much I really need you guys and how much I rely on you to give me your opinion and perspective on certain things. And that so completely warmed my heart. I thought because, now that you're 16, you don't need as much from us. You don't need, when you were a little baby, we had to feed you, we had to bathe you, we had to drive you places, we had to do pretty much everything for you.
Cuddle you.
And that still applies.
Now we want to cuddle her, and she's like, no, she actually is a pretty cuddly girl.
Yeah. But so there's not a whole lot that we can do for you. And so when you said that, it really warmed my heart, and I was, happy. And so in spite of the challenges that we had, being separated from each other with 9-hour time difference, physically not being there together, I think that really brought us closer together. And I don't want to have to wait. One of my lessons learned is I don't want to have to wait for a medical challenge to show up for us to have that closeness and have those conversations. And so I know that, for several weeks now, we have been going out for dinner on Fridays or Saturdays, and we kind of like recap our week. And we
spent, 3 weeks in the same hotel room always together?
Yeah.
Well, we went, afterwards. So Michelle obviously had Lyme disease
summer.
and still does, but like it's mostly much, much better now. And after this 6-week trip, when we came back in May, we're like, you were feeling so much better.
Yeah.
And I mean, the lesson learned to me was like exactly that first of all, we're so busy with business all the time that we don't make enough time for each other. And once a medical emergency happens, even though we probably already spend more time together than most families.
Most families,
Right? But we used to be known as Jack and Michelle, right? There was no Jack and no Michelle. We were everywhere all day together, and I love that, and I missed that for a long time. But then when this diagnosis came in and the solution came in, I mean, to me it was a clear thing, was a wake up call in a way of like, okay, business needs to drop everything, screw everything else. Your health comes first, and we need to go take care of that health. And by the way, you weren't 6 weeks alone. You were only 2 weeks alone because you first.
Well, not alone entirely. My mother was here.
But 2.5 weeks. Here. But you were with us for 2 weeks. Then I was back with you. Michelle was alone for 2 weeks with Natalie, and then I came back for another 2.5 weeks. So you were 2.5 weeks on your own. But afterwards, I think it continued. It continues to this day that we were like. We realized that, hey, you're feeling better, you have the energy. Our typical summer vacation comes along, and typically in summer we do spend 3 weeks about traveling together. Yeah. And even though we were just gone from the business for 2 months, we basically said, screw it, let's continue on, because our team had also had continued to run the business and continued to do it. They have really stepped up. And so we're like, I know we technically should have stayed and perhaps and continue to push the business, but now, this is more important. So we needed to be, the three of us needed to be together and spend a lot of time. And we had probably the most epic summer vacation in many years.
Yeah, in a long time. Yeah. And that kind of, has continued with like on a weekly basis, us, spending an evening towards the end of the week, really recapping our week and finding out what we're grateful for. And
plus, I feel like every night I do end up coming into your room before I go to bed, and we all.
Yeah, I noticed that. I love that. That it's like, Sophia, we're going to sleep. Okay, I'm coming, and you come run over, jump into the bed, we cuddle for a few minutes.
Usually, it's a jump where it's like
wee,
and poof,
like a bit like. Flat in the bed.
Hey, you do it too.
I do it too, of course. I do it in your bed.
Yeah.
Unless it's not full of like backpacks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then.
So that was important for me.
I think to me also some little things. I don't know if you guys even noticed, but I starting to. We used to have dinner together every single night.
Yeah.
And we kind of gotten away from that because we're busy, and
everyone having different time and activities and extracurriculars.
So everyone just like warm something up and eat something. And I've been trying to get that back at least a few days. Sometimes it's just the three of us on the kitchen counter. It doesn't have to be a formal dinner on the table and things. But it's just the three of us on the kitchen counter. But I've tried to bring that back because it's a beautiful time once a day to get together as a family. That's how I grew up. That's how you grew up. Yeah. And that's how you're growing up. She's in the morning, you're busy. I mean, I make you breakfast, but you go out. Then you're out for lunch. Everyone is somewhere else. But in the evening, let's get everyone together and let's recap kind of the day and just reconnect.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've loved that we've started doing that again, because I think we had a period of probably a year or so where that kind of like we just fell off the bandwagon and. Then the Lyme diagnosis came, and that was a great wake-up call to, really reprioritize and figure out what's important for us as a family. And it's that time together, especially now that, we have you, Sophia, for a couple years, and then you're off to college, and Papa and I are going to be empty nesters, and oh my goodness,
I'll still join you for the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you will, especially with the vacations, some nice, expensive and exciting
Summer,
vacations.
winter, spring. I mean, we need to put in some skiing trips and things in there. I think we have enough carrots here that we love doing really fun traveling trips, and I was hoping that would happen, so I'm glad that's happening.
Yeah, and for me personally, just to finish on this topic, it's like you got to put your oxygen mask on first, kind of like what they tell you, when you're on an airplane. And so you cannot give to others if you have not basically filled up your cup, that it's important to basically give from our overfill versus from a cup that is continuously being depleted and is not getting filled up first to begin with. So important, because I think for us ladies and actually dads that are always sometimes, working, they forget about that as well. So I know that you, Jack, started also, working out. You signed up with a membership at a gym, and you've been doing that.
Those kind of things. Yes, absolutely. I try to now spend a few minutes in the morning because you like to sleep in.
Yeah.
And she's out of the house at 7:25. So between 7:25 and 8, I like to usually just take my time for myself, start reading a book or do a meditation and things like that. And also just to strengthen our bond continuously. We've done that years ago. Then again, it fell off the bandwagon because you felt for a while you were too sick to do it, or we were too busy in business and so on. But Wednesdays, my assistant now, or our assistant knows to keep those times from about 11 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon open, because that's our lunch date time.
And we've had the opportunity to basically enjoy perfect Arizona weather, and be just out there on the Wednesday. Last time we went to the botanical garden, Papa and I, to go and see an exhibit from Botero, and we had lunch there. And
we need to still take you there.
I want to go see Botero.
Right, they're still for a few more months. So if you're in the Phoenix area, make sure you go to the Phoenix Botanical Garden until about April of 2024. They have a Fernando Botero or Francisco Botero. What's his first name? I don't know. But Botero is the guy that has like big statues, a beautiful thing, world-class artist.
Colombian,
and like $20 cover charge for the entire garden, and have a great restaurant next door, like in the garden. So we did a museum, we did have a wonderful lunch, came back, took a nap, and
that's pretty much
then we waited for you to come home, and then we hugged you, and that was a perfect day. Like 3 hours work in the morning, beautiful time together, quality time together, and then quality time with you, help you with like homework and other things whatever you need, and then have dinner together, and it's a perfect day.
And for us, it like Jack said, there's the 3 hours in the morning that we're each doing whatever needs to be done on those Wednesdays, but then still a big good chunk of the day, like around from 11 till 3, where it's prime time, or I consider prime time, so that we're not giving each other scraps at the end of the day, but really giving each other prime time during the day at least once a week. So that was one of the lessons. Okay, then on the relationship side, I know that we have had also quite a bit of growth as a family. And for us, Jack, personally, we learn that we need to be very selective and be better judges of character, especially when we go into partnerships. Yeah. So, we had a situation where we had gone into a partnership back in 2016, purchased a property together with someone, and that partnership, now in hindsight, I can say was a mistake, was an absolute mistake.
And we could have figured it out right away, because we knew the way the other person was on a day-to-day basis was not aligned with our values. But for some reason, probably greed or just the opportunity of learning something, because that person was more experienced in that asset class than we were.
Yeah.
We were like, we can learn so much from him, and like that made us overlook some of the fundamental things that you should never overlook, which is really character.
Yeah.
So what happened since then is that the guy bailed out of the deal, left us with the deal basically after that deal had been hit by a larger property, multifamily property, hit by a hurricane, and has left us basically holding the bag and making sure our investors are not losing money out of the deal, which in turn has meant that we had to invest multiple seven figures into a deal in a very difficult market, in a very difficult time, economic time, and cost us a whole bunch of sleepless nights this year. But we will prevail. We will come out at the other end. We'll come out winning on that deal. The lesson learned is like, if you have even any doubt in the character of the other person, do not do business with them.
Yeah, and for us also, it has been a lesson in not just in evaluating partnerships and the people that you're going into a partnership and relationship in general, but it has also, the lesson that I have also learned is that, you know, when you have the opportunity, when you're presented with the opportunities that look like challenges, sometimes what you're going to discover is that there's hidden potential. Where you're able to develop certain skills that you didn't think you had, because we always were looking for value add properties. And in this situation, this building in particular turned into a complete repositioning. And so now I am not scared at all. And I'm looking now at new opportunities and new basically deals that fit the box that didn't fit the box before, because we were thinking, oh my gosh, we don't have the experience. I don't think I could do it. It's too big of a project. And now after having had this project, we're like, okay, we can go out there and do this. It's not going to be a problem. You know,
I think one of the most uplifting things you said the other day was like, I was like this. I was like, oh my God, what happens now on this thing? And now we have to send another $150,000 over there because of this, and this is an expense we didn't forecast. And Michelle's like, hey, after we're through this, at least we know how to do a full repositioning, so we can add an asset class to this. And I just looked at her and I just had to start laughing because it's a beautiful way of looking at it. It's thing. So that's like, always look at the positive, what you can learn from it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, on the other side of that thing is also like, by having such an albatross on your hand in that side that sucks up a lot of money, it actually has a positive benefit that you look at all cost factors in your life.
Yeah.
You look at all our other business. We have multiple other businesses. And we're like, well, if this keeps things sucking and it keeps sucking in some of the profits we make in other businesses, well, then we better figure out how to increase our profits on the other businesses in order to be able to continue doing that. So as a result, I've been like a freaking hawk in all our other businesses and chopping expenses, finding additional ways to make more money, finding ways to increase revenues, finding ways to get better deals. And
not just us, but our entire team has rallied around us in terms of helping us reduce costs and find new ways to generate revenue.
Provide better services, even other services. And I'm talking about real estate services, coaching, things, all this kind of things, different areas that we do. And once this is done, our entire business portfolio will be standing there
stronger than before.
Way stronger than we were before, because it forced us to start looking at the toothpaste as empty. Mm-hmm. And you know, as in the toothpaste, when you have a full toothpaste, you splatter the toothpaste all over the place, right? Because you got an abundance of it. But if that toothpaste is empty,
squander it,
you're like, if there's one day of toothpaste left, you figure out how to squeeze a full week worth of toothpaste out of that, right?
Yeah.
And everyone can relate to that, and that's exactly what's happening in the businesses now, because we have been treating them as full toothpastes, when in reality you should be running every business as an empty toothpaste thing, and really being frugal, being lean and thing. Because if you're lean in the good times, then you can also be lean in the bad times. And again, this has been not even on the other side, the coaching business has had a challenging year, because when interest rates go up like crazy, when real estate, commercial real estate is in the gutters, multifamily is on shaky legs, there's some pain that's going to happen, and the retail has Amazon taking everyone's bread and butter away and things like that, and a lot of people turning their back on real estate because with the high interest rate and so on, then, well, even though our land flipping has completely been unaffected, like the actual business of buying and selling land has completely been unaffected, people out there have been brainwashed to see what the media thinks. So it's harder to tell, to show people, hey, there's an asset class here that works just as good, if not better, than just before COVID and during these years. But as a result, it's been more expensive to get leads. It's been more expensive to show people. So our business has been, the dynamics of our business has changed, and that made it for all an interesting year. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. What about you, Sophia? Any lessons learned on the relationship front for you?
I mean, I have more of like, actually, I was learning about like the judge of character and make sure you do business with someone that you trust and build that trust. I was doing, like, in my marketing class, I was doing an exercise where it's like business etiquette in like different countries, like international. And like Germany, like you like shake hands and like nod a bit, and then you sit down and get to business. And then in the Latino culture, it's more like you first chit chat a little bit, talk about something personal, build that rapport, and like a little bit more trust. I feel like.
More trust building in the beginning. Yeah. So,
Anyways,
so something that you've learned is the differences from the marketing class. Any personal lessons on being a good judge of character?
I feel like actions speak louder than words, in my opinion. Sometimes, like people can do sometimes like something unconsciously, like that shows you who they really are.
And when they show you who they really are, you should believe them. Because sometimes, we tend to not believe. We're like, oh, okay, maybe that person just slipped today, or was having a bad day. And it could be that is possible. We have to give sometimes people grace. But when you see that same, behavior happening over and over again, you're like, okay.
Red flag.
Red flag, exactly. So
yeah, but I go to like a really small like private school. So if there are people that you don't exactly align with, you should still be friendly with them. You don't have to be friends. But the thing is, it's not like in a big high school where you could just like leave that friend group and just like you don't have to ever see them again. There may be in all your classes, like my grade is like the biggest in the school. It has 85 kids. So it's like, it's really hard to avoid people. So you have to learn how to deal with them.
Which is a skill in itself.
It's a beautiful skill to learn. I mean, I grew up in a small town in Germany, and it's the same thing. Our grade had 63 kids. And even outside of school, you live in a big city, but even outside of school, you would come across the exact same people all the time. So you go out Friday night into a bar, which drinking age 16, so it's allowed. You go Friday night, and the same people are there. And you go into the Mardi Gras Carnival Club, and it's the same people, and you just cannot avoid them. So what that forces you to do is exactly what you said. It forces you to learn the diplomatic skills in a way to get along with them, not
have a target on your back, right?
Not have a target on the back, not have a fight every time come up every time you see them, but just like have a neutral relationship with some of the people you don't like, and then just focus on the people you do like. Versus today in this world, I mean, social media with media and thing, you can be so micro grouped that it's possible to only hear the news that support your viewpoint. It's possible to be to only see the reels that, everyone, the algorithms, everything is designed to only show you what you already like.
Yeah.
So you're going more and more into this micro niche of like, oh well, the entire world thinks like me. But and in a big high school, I don't know, I imagine, of course, there's the movies you see where there's like the bullies and the things, but I would think 80% of the people kind of run under the radar, and they just built their geek groups and the groups of like this and the group that like this. And
there's also so many people that you are able to find your people. And
because if your grade has 500 people, you find the 12, you find the 5 that are thinking exactly like you.
And in a smaller group, the ratio is a bit lower.
Right,
but
so
okay.
you have to hear other viewpoints because you can't escape them. You have to deal with other people,
and that's important.
And that's a beautiful thing. So I actually think in Aftermath, as like, man, I had to always deal with these people I didn't like, and in Aftermath, I think that's one of the biggest benefits of having grown up in a small town, that you get to learn to get around, to get along with different kind of people versus just saying like, I don't like you, so let me go over there and never deal with you ever again.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that, I feel like, to a certain extent, but you're always going to come across, like, the person or people, like, you still have to be friendly to them.
Yeah.
Like, be cordial.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's always those other people that you can turn to.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah, wonderful.
that's the lesson I've learned.
Good.
Yeah,
it's a good lesson.
That is a good lesson. Now, on the financial, I know, we already mentioned a little bit, how this relationship lesson actually spills into the financial category of your life, and the financial, topic that we had for today as well, and in that it helped us to reevaluate also in our other lines of businesses, where can we generate more revenue, where can we cut fat and, increase our margins, our profit margins, where can we just reduce costs that is redundant in general across all three lines of business. And so that's been something that has proven for us to help us, in a hard economic year. But in a shaky economy, Sophia, that's one way to go about it, is to reduce costs, to increase revenue. But in order to sometimes increase revenue or produce or increase your income, you've had this year the opportunity to basically go and start building up what I like to call high income skills. So was that a lesson for you this year, building high income skills of marketing,
right?
Of talking to sellers, of
just creating and forming new habits that I didn't have before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or didn't, I don't know how to explain it, but that do contribute to that.
Yeah. And it's basically, it's talking to people, being able to relate to people, being able to, kind of like navigate and steer a conversation, with either a seller or with either a buyer. So that's an incredibly high income skill.
At the beginning of that, we're still helping you with some of these things.
But at least if you said this yesterday, like if you're exposed, to that before everyone else, you have a head start on everyone. It's a
way of tapping into hidden potential. What they found out, I've been reading actually, and I'm fascinated with this book. It's a book from Adam Grant, Hidden Potential. You've seen it, yeah. And basically in the book, they talk about a research being done, a landmark research being done by psychologists, where they were trying to figure out what was the reason for the top scientists, top athletes, top artists having exceptional results. And a lot of people thought, it's going to be because of innate luck or innate talent that these guys were born with. And what they found out is that only a handful of the people that, were outliers actually were child prodigies. The remaining of them, or the bulk of them, were really people that had more opportunities or more challenges and got a head start in whatever area they were excelling at. So important for us, as your parents, for us, it was this year to give you a head start and to get you exposed to challenges and to help you, start embracing discomfort of building high income skills. Because usually when we build
those after college, you get out of college, you get a job, you start being exposed to that. And for me, that I'm being exposed to it in my sophomore year of high school.
Yeah, it's gonna give you a head start. And then in the future, if we were to project into the future, maybe somebody's gonna say, looking from the outside in, is gonna say, oh my gosh, she has an innate talent or she was born this way. And what it is really is just an opportunity to.
And the truth is that.
Truth is, the only lucky you had is that you're born in this family.
Yeah.
And what is your answer to that?
And what is your answer to that when Papa has said that in the past?
I chose you guys.
There
yeah,
you
the
go.
lucky ones were really us because he
That
chose
is right, because your spirit chose our family. Thank you so much for that, Sophia.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is a good point. Like there's other studies and other things that show, like, for example, that in a school, even the ones that hold their kid back perhaps for a year in school and make him the oldest one in the class, that sets those kids up for just more success overall, because because at age 5 in preschool, let's say in kindergarten, if you're the oldest one and the youngest one, you're 20% older than the younger kid.
Yeah.
And 20, it means you have 20% more. You think about it, it's only a year, but at age
also
5, it's
brain
20%.
development.
You have 20% more brain development than the youngest kid. And that means you're catching up things faster on average, let's say, if all things equal, like both intelligence are all the same, your brain development is 20% faster. So you're learning things faster, you're developing, so as you go through, your overtime is the thing. The same
in the grade.
Yeah, the same happens apparently with hockey. Like the top hockey players out there in the league, you look at them by birthday, they're all born just before or just after the cutoff date. So they're the oldest in the thing.
Or they're before it, but they're still like...
or if the cutoff date is January 1st, they're all born January 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 10th, 15th, because that way they're the oldest one of that year.
Yeah.
And physically they were stronger. And all those little things over time add up. So if you have earlier exposure... Yeah, go ahead, Sophia.
Plus, I know that I have a friend, her little brother is really good at hockey. So he would go into... freshman year, but then he would go into another freshman year at a different school. So therefore, he's the biggest one. He's the oldest. He on the ice, he would be better.
Yeah.
Like he would be better than everyone else.
It's a strategy for that, because if you're on the ice, if you're technically the oldest one, again, you're just a little bit bigger.
Around, and usually they recruit by your junior year. They'll look at all the juniors and they'll point you out because you're the biggest,
the strongest, and so on. Yeah. It's all those things. Plus, then if you then do the summer camps and you get chosen for things, all those little things add up. So more and more often, an earlier exposure.
It's kind of like I know you explained it to me you'd rather be the best in an easier school than middle average.
Well, that's something else we have been realizing this year. Both Michelle and I from other countries, right? Honduras, Germany. So we applied to one school in the US each. And luckily the same one, that's where we met, right? And so this entire college process of applying to schools, and plus Sophia, you're really good in school and you're in one of the top schools in Arizona. So you have the chance to going to one of the top schools. I mean, if you would apply to Arizona State University, you get automatically accepted, then we're done, right? But she wants to go out of state,
I don't want to stay in
which we're totally encouraging and totally fine with us. But the point, this entire process is like a crazy process where if you want to go into one of the top schools that have a 4% acceptance rate, then they only look at the top 3 people in each school. So if you're going to a school, you're a super smart kid. If you're going to a school where everyone
else is the top person,
right, and you end up being number 7 in the grade, forget about the top schools.
Yeah.
If you instead go to a school that is really, really good, but not as good as the other one, and you're becoming number 1 or number 2 or number 3, you actually got a better chance of getting into those schools.
Yeah, that's
Plus you can add all the rigor you want to
and with that said, the school you're going is fantastic. It's one of the top 3 in Arizona. So.
Yeah. But there's, even though my school is kind of chill and laid back, but they give you that opportunity to add a bunch of stuff to make it as rigorous as you want, which I appreciate.
And we're going to be definitely in charge of making sure that you have rigor by learning high income skills anyways outside of school.
Yeah.
So what we learned in general this year, I think for me, just if I was to put one overall umbrella statement, is that in order to become wealthy, it's a family, it's a team sport. It should be a family, I would say, goal and endeavor to become wealthy, not just on a financial aspect, but also in earning high income skills or learning new high income skills and putting ourselves in more opportunities where we're being challenged.
Right. And also, I think you should say that family, yes, this is by blood, but we also have other family that isn't by blood that we consider family that also goes along with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can be whatever you decide is your family.
That has our same values and that values the same things that we are valuing when it comes to achieving, not just achieving goals for the sake of achieving them, but also for the sake of becoming better people as we achieve those goals, Yeah. So to wrap it up, then we would love to encourage, other families to take some time during the holiday season and as a family come together, and maybe your 3 pillars are not family, relationships, and financial. Maybe your pillars are different than ours. But if you want to take ours as an example, to go ahead and have as a family a discussion of what went well this year in these 3 categories of our lives, and where could we have done better, and what challenges that we have this year, and what lessons that we learn from these challenges, and what new opportunities as a result of these challenges have presented themselves, going forward into the future. And I think it's been valuable for us as a family to go through that exercise. And so if you're into that kind of stuff and you are more about building heritage versus just inheritance of assets that are being passed on from generation to the next, but more about who these, amazing, magnificent young kids are becoming, then we challenge you to go ahead and take the time, this holiday season to do something, an exercise like this as well. Jack, and it was great having you here. It was important that you were here because, this is, except for Daisy, which
the dog.
The dog, doesn't have the critical, she's a puppy, to talk about, these things. It was important that you were here with us and
Thank you for having me. I'm very honored to be finally part of the Becoming Wealthy podcast.
And you got to sit on the pink chairs.
I know. These are like iconic. I'm super excited to be here now. Thank you for having me. Again, these are very, very important subject, and I think not enough families actually consciously talk about them. Everyone gets busy in the day-to-day, and with the day-to-day, the days just pass and the years just pass, and even that happened to us for some years, and then almost like we wish you never gotten sick, but thanks to the sickness, it was a wake-up call for all of us, and made the importance of relationship, the importance of health, the importance of really being there for each other, and the importance of the nuclear family and the relationship to each other made it so much clearer again.
Yeah. So thank you very much. So if you enjoyed today's podcast, leave us a 5-star review, share with a family that you know that is into, becoming wealthy and becoming a better version of themselves. And thank you so much for allowing us, during the last couple months of the Becoming Wealthy podcast to come into your home, to come into your headspace, and share with you, what we've learned and the different guests that we've had here at the podcast. So anything else, Sophia, that you want to say at the end?
Love you guys.
Yay, we love you too.
All right.
Thank you.